I went to a memory palace in real life. IRL. Not really. I went to Ripley's, believe it or not, in Amsterdam. But the experience of going to places like this gives you first-hand accounts of how you can start to create memory palaces for yourself and how you can use these different experiential and sensory qualities to sanction off information for better retention. Look at this, right? Whether you've got drawers and doors moving by themselves or giant hippos on the wall, you can experience anything in whichever way here is particular to yourself, right? Is it an aeroplane? Is it a car? That's actually a coffin, right? There are different sensory ways that you can create and use all of this information. You could experience a giant hippopotamus on a wall as a picture. You could experience its 10-foot long stomach in some other way. Lord knows they are infamous for their kind of gastricness. But look at this sensory involvement. As memory technicians, we are fond of gaining sight, sound, smell, taste, touch elements. I know it all happens in our head, but these are differing standout qualities that we can use to make information more retentive, more tangible, more interactive, right? Should there be a reason for something like this as you go round your memory palace, then you can better use it in the way that it gives impressions of the data. I always think it makes my moustache look really big.
Like, this is a memory palace with built-in facts that you can use. Some bees sleep in flowers and possibly even dream. That's me. A baby spider is called a spiderling. Lion King facts. Snoop Dogg's real name. Cordazar Calvin Broadus Jr.
Are you telling me that in walking up and down those stairs a couple of times you wouldn't have all of that information with you in real life or in a memory palace? This is the same kind of thing, the same consideration that needs to be made for how you are creating these things that exist in your head, right? Cordazar Calvin Broadus Jr. might be the most intangible piece of information that you've ever seen in your life, but if you connect it to Snoop Dogg and put it on something, some part of the house that you walk around and interact with on a daily basis, then you're going to be able to create more retentive connections towards this piece of data.
They gave him his nickname because of how much he loves Snoopy from Peanuts. Amazing. There we go, from the jungle into a war zone.
Are you telling me that seeing this big guy in your memory palace wouldn't store a great deal of information, wouldn't store a great deal of emotive connection, regardless of whether you're a Transformers fan or not? This giant monolithic creature made out of car parts. Hold all manner of things because it's crafted and you can interact with it, right? When I put this kind of thing in my experience of the building itself, because I wanted the information from Ripley's, believe it or not, personal challenge of mine, whenever I go to a museum or any place like this, I aim to walk away with all of the information that I interact with, and there was a specific connection towards him right there and how he was based on these particular car parts and who created him, right? But I connected it to this kind of dry ice event with this guy marching out of the apocalyptic murk to stand there and talk to me and engage in all of this data. It's about the experience. My senses hold the data for me.
1956, Italy, 84, USA, 48, London.
Right? So this is another illustration of the ways in which that you can use separation of information to hold it in specific areas, right? The areas of this wall are the different Olympic torches that were used over a number of years, right? So I can experience my number mnemonics, my PAO systems, whatever it is, connected to the visual in that event, and scatter them around the wall as I turn around and experience each one and what it's connected to, this tiny little story. It just needs a home, a place in this area, so I know what is contained here. That way when I walk around, I'm not just looking at random stuff on the wall. It means something, in the same way that these paintings and things behind me aren't just paintings and things behind me. This is a quest to understand the three actresses that went into the creation of the image. I think we all know about the Sydney Paget rack and back element. Every time somebody mentions Star Wars Day, May the 4th, I'm like, well, actually, it's Reichenbach Day, May the 4th, 1891, right? All of these differing experiences have a connected piece of data that you can use in the creation of your memory palace. See if you can follow along.
72 Munich, 64 Japan, 06 Italy, 08 Beijing, 04 Seoul, 36 Germany, 04 Athens, 02 Moscow, 02 Salt Lake, 68 Mexico, 68 Mexico, 2 Los Angeles, 84.
You can have the Hulk urging you on.
Montreal, Austria, Montreal 76, Innsbruck 76, Barcelona 92, 88 Seoul, Korea, 98 Nagano, Japan, 36 Berlin, 60 Italy.
I mean, look at it. You can go from household collected data into a greenhouse, so long as you have the clear distinction of the ways in which you experience this information and how it separates, why it separates, and then the different interactional qualities. All the information comes along for a ride.
As long as it's clear, you know the journey, and how it's laid out. And then when you come across this, this is how you can start to double up on the methods that you use. These are the African beaded sashes in this jungle room, but tell me these don't look like visual Lucasas.
Visual Lucasas, the memory boards. Those are African beaded sashes. They don't have to be, right? You can use the kind of visual connection to these Lucasas or your memory boards and place them there to hold information. Right? So you can have a memory palace that has a mnemonic that you can then go into and experience in a different way, right? These types of adventures that you can go on, most of the time, with the museums in your area, most of the time they are free. Things like Ripley's, they're not free, right? But most museums are. This was an interesting thing for me as part of the journey around Ripley's, aka a memory palace. There was a little one-man movie theatre. A little one-man movie theatre. Think about your favourite film for a second. I bet it's not Joker 2. Right? But think about your favourite film for a second. How much of that do you recall? In order. Maybe not scene by scene, but a good chunk, I would wager. That can exist as a mnemonic movie in your head that holds data, that holds references, that holds contextual connections for you to be able to use. It doesn't just have to be movie characters serving the purpose of a mnemonic. You can create these things in your head, right?
Tell us about the stricter story.
Especially how everyone seemed to talk right then. Yes, Mr. Ripley, see?
Well, time flies, gentlemen. I must be off. Thank you, Mr. Bye. While on the subject of aviation, I'd like to draw for you the remarkable trip of Commander Byrd, who circumnavigated the world in 30 minutes.
Circumnavigated the world in 30 minutes. Look at this. Right? This was a visual destruction of my mind. A mirrored ball on the inside. It seemed to go on forever. Make use of these types of things, these optical illusions. They will stand out enough in your mind that you can use them. Even the little horror elements, these different interactional points around your journey are all things that can hold data for you, especially this guy. That guy himself had a little place in his head that was cut out that he could store a candle in so he could guide people around his local Chinese territory. Right? Go to these places, experience the differences, you'll get a better sensory understanding for how this type of memory palace can be created for yourself and how you align these things that exist around. Hope you enjoyed this journey around a memory palace. I look forward to seeing yours.